Which celebrity do you suspect is pure evil in private? You guys make me Google shit that has no place in my search history. Mario Lopez. He's all love and light on Instagram, but he's a sneaky, selfish, manipulative person that consistently treats the crew around him like trash. Unfortunately, I don't suspect this. I've seen it firsthand. I'm constantly surprised when I meet people that think there is anything nice about him. He's a slimeball. He cheated on his wife on their honeymoon. You can tell he's a douchebag just by looking at him. Jodestein. Straight up Jodestein wears a zipper mask resembling a human. But when he takes it off at night, a hideous monster who probably sacrifices animals to Baal or his own effigy. Evil as duck. Same with Crespo Scammer and that Antichrist sicko with all the airplanes. The one with the terrifying eyes. Dan Get in the Van Skneder. There's a YouTuber named Slow4n that has a long series going in detail about all the sketchy shit Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon in general have pulled with all the child actors, and it's actually ducking terrible. When you look into it, it's definitely worth a watch. Just to add to it, Nickelodeon should be up there as one of the most evil companies ever, as they have multiple known pedophiles in their team and even are employed them after getting out of jail for molesting kids on the Nickelodeon sets. Edit. Wow, thanks for the upvotes, this blew the F up. Michelle Duggar. I've always been suspicious of Jim Bob. I have a feeling he has worse skeletons in his closet than Josh. Just better at not getting caught. Unfortunately, I live in the same area as the Duggars, and I get to drive around and see billboards with Jim Bob Duggar's name and creepy smile on them, since apparently he's running for Arkansas State Senate. Dr. Phil for sure. There was an episode in the early 2000s featuring the mother of a missing girl named Natalie Holloway. They claimed to have confessions from the killers on tape. He showed that poor mother a completely edited conversation with the suspected murders that made it seem like a true confession. Later on, they were called out on straight up lying and editing the tape. Not to mention all those countless teenagers he sent to outdoor rehabilitation bullshit. The horror stories that have come out of those rehabs is disgusting. He doesn't care about these people at all. They're a profit to him. Dr. Phil is even worse than you think, and you probably think he sucks. Link. I was just about to mention that. I thought he was a publicity-seeking douchebag before I heard that. After I listened to it, I had the feeling that he may just be a straight-up psychopath without an ounce of empathy in his body. Shout out to the bumfight guy who called him out on his hypocrisy. Edit. Maybe I should be clear that bumfight guy is not necessarily a good guy, but I wanted to shout out his stunt for the point it made, that Phil was basically doing the same thing. Of course, that also works in reverse. Bumfight guy was doing the same as Phil. Any celebrity that's in Scientology. Tyra Banks. Yeah, she sometimes seemed genuinely unstable on ANTM. Just had these occasional weird aggressive moments for no reason. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. When my mom yells at me like this, it's because she loves me. Darman. I'm aware he's not quite a celebrity, but still, something's really off about him. You'll instantly regret saying this. He's gonna appear in the next Darman video. Redditor insults Darman and instantly regrets it. Lea Michele. Mean girl vibes for sure. Hopefully Ghislaine Maxwell will give us the full list before she kills herself. Find you a woman who supports your dreams. Jeffrey Epstein. True love is finishing each other's sentences. Dr. Phil. The way he handles kids, sending them to abusive care facilities, and how in a lot of his cases he does more harm than good for the kids. Like the old boomer beat your kids mentality with just enough psychobabble to be dangerous and most of the time wrong. He doesn't even have a license to practice. His whole show is just him profiting off mentally ill people. Dr. Phil. Porcine beady-eyed sociopath. The sicker they are, the more he dives in. I do not watch his show, but every time I've watched him be interviewed on late night shows, he comes off as someone barely holding in his own rage. He seems to have no concept of comedy and zero ability to self-deprecate. If there's a bit or a joke that involves him, he looks like his brain is going a mile per minute trying to figure out if he's being targeted, and always seems moments away from bursting into self-important outrage. I've always got the feeling that he's probably horrible to be around for long periods of time. Your description of Dr. Phil being insulted is the funniest thing I've read all week. Steven Seagal. For starters, he's creepy and scary even on TV and lane interviews. He's not scary in like a big softy way, but a creepy teacher way. I don't know if he has controversy already, but it really feels like he does. I've been scary for 47 years. Seagal. Probably. According to Tom Segura. Gwyneth Paltrow. Because of her goop products that are actually bad for health, and she is still promoting them to people. Shove this jade egg up your gooch for reasons. Bill Cos. Oh, never mind. Cosplayer. Jared Leto. He's pretty bad in public. I don't think he's hiding anything. True asshole. My best friend is a booking manager in the music industry. Booked Leto's band for a show. Was a complete asshole to every single employee at the venue and wouldn't pay money owed to the venue for months after the show. Kenneth Copeland. Jeffree Star. He is pure evil in public too. Kylie Jenner. Making billions while not paying poor garment workers in Bangladesh. If I guess that's a secret. Damn. I just mentioned Kendall Kylie not paying the garments workers in Bangladesh in the middle of an pandemic. In this economic study circle, factories were facing a severe liquidity crunch, with the women who make our clothes placed in the most vulnerable situation, no longer receiving pay, despite having already done the work. These women are quite literally at risk of starving to death. FFS. Those Kardashian business owners are the absolute epitome of not my problem if I don't know about it capitalism. On the face of it, they run these giant businesses, but really they've just hired a bunch of standard corporate types to make all the actual decisions on operations. It should be on her radar that the clothes are being made in sweet shops and abuse is rife, but she's set up the system so that she doesn't have to deal with that part of the business. They insulate themselves from the actual issues, profiting from the abuse while maintaining a veneer of plausible deniability. It's so funny to me how people say they're self-made when in reality they just had enough money to pay professionals to help them run their businesses. Jennifer Lopez. JLo. I've heard she is super demanding and shitty towards her help. I've heard this too. I knew a girl who worked for one of the big luxury fashion stores in New York and said JLo and A-Rod were the worst celebrities they ever had to deal with. But wait, isn't she still the same old Jenny from the block? Remember, don't be fooled by the rocks she got. Maybe that was when she just started to blow up and hadn't yet reached icon status. Dr. Rounds. Legit genius doctor who scams ignorant people for his own profit. It's not private. Has publicly horrendous. Pretty much most internet influencers. Armie Hammer is allegedly a cannibal, which must have made failing the audition for the role of Hannibal Lecter particularly disappointing. Sorry, we just don't buy you as a cannibal. Funny you should say that. Kind of like O.J. Simpson not getting cast in Terminator. Cameron objected to Simpson's casting because he felt the ex-football player was too nice and wouldn't be believable as a killing machine like Thet 800. Mark Zuckerberg, they said in secret. Drake the type of fella to sleep in a race car shaped bed. I 100% believe Tom Cruise is a serial killer and Scientology provides him his victims and covers it up. Steve Jobs. Probably controversial opinion, but read about Apple Lisa. He told the mother of his first child he had had a vasectomy and therefore the child couldn't be his. She had to support herself and the baby alone and ended up moving to a commune. All while he was raking in the dough, naming the computer the name of the child he denied fathering and starting a new family with children. It irks me that we put such a terrible man on a pedestal. Steve Jobs was a genuinely terrible person. I hate the deification that he appreciates after he passed. He was not a nice man and stole most of the ideas that he so-called invented. He was a modern Thomas Edison in the regard that most of the things he's famous for he did not invent. So many people in these comments are confusing pure evil with a bit of an ass. Being rude off camera isn't pure evil. On that note, my choice is Tom Cruise. As an avid Scientologist, there's gotta be something off about his personal life we aren't seeing. No, not just that he's rude off camera, but that he's committing awful crimes and getting away with them because of the church. Probably among the people stalking anyone who leaves the church too. My sister is a paramedic, and she is often sent to watch over big singers and secure the area in case of an emergency. She gets to meet a lot of them behind the scenes before the big show. Most of them are arrogant and full of themselves. She tells me terrible stories about how the singers have zero respect for their audience, even though they wouldn't exist without them. Sorry for the terrible English. Graham Norton told a story about a singer or actress, I think singer, he had on his show who asked for 9 dressing rooms. And later the assistant came and asked for another dressing room so the singer could use it to charge her phone in there. He never revealed the name though. A lot of wacky divas out there. Pretty much the only reason I want to get famous is so I can go on Graham Norton's show. Ellen. Steve Harvey. Lord, give us back Bernie Mac and we'll give you Steve Harvey. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm here to just read tea about celebrities. I think James Corden. Oh wait, he's not evil. He's just a talentless twat. Lorraine Bracco. Because I saw her do pure evil to a crew member work one day. Worked with a duckton of celebrities over the years. Worked with a few P's. O.S. Seen a few tantrums. A few diva moments. I've never seen a crew member verbally abused for no good reason. By the way she did to an assistant director. The Tom Cruise Christian Bale rants don't even compare. Because they changed the order of the shots. Not even the 80s call. It happens all the time. We had done the master. She had been doing the scene all morning. Not like she was being asked to open cold for her close up. At all. Pound let this poor girl up in front of the entire cast and crew. Talked to her like a dog that had shat on the rug. In that Enos accent of hers, honey, dripping with sarcasm and condescension. What you did was bad and wrong. No, Lorraine. What you did was bad and wrong. Classic case of killing the messenger. Ah man, this one makes me sad. She plays characters that you want to love, even if they aren't perfect, which makes you believe it translates into real life somehow. Damn shame. By contrast, I've heard many people say James Gandolfini was a sweet man, which I'd like to image is true. Oprah Winfrey. I used to work for a private aircraft company and had the mispleasure of having Oprah on a charter flight. We were used to having a lot of difficult and diva clients, but Oprah was far and away the worst and most difficult client we had ever had. She was so difficult and high maintenance that the CEO told us she was not welcome back on another flight. So future requests from her team were met with schedule conflicts on our end. I lived in OKC in 1995 when the federal building was bombed. My military dad was assigned as Oprah's bodyguard when she came to offer her condolences or whatever. He came home and said, "Got him. Oprah's a bitch." Apparently she just ordered him around all day like he was her personal assistant, even though she had her own assistant right there with her. It was all bring me coffee, bring me water, bring me food. This chair is uncomfortable. Tell them to stop looking at me. Get rid of those cameras. The thing is, he wasn't allowed to actually do any of these things. His orders were standing guard, not gopher. He said a lot of "no madam." I'm glad your dad said no. I don't know, James Franco gives me weird vibes. He was caught creeping on underage girls, wasn't he? Something shady about acting classes he ran where he made girls do sex scenes too. He used to be good friends with Seth Rogen, and apparently after these allegations Seth was like, nope, and cut contact. That's all I know, lol. Dr. Phil. Would honestly not be surprised if he has any allegations against him. Jeff Bezos. CEO. Entrepreneur. Born in 1964. Jeffrey Bezos. Come on. Jeffrey, you can do it. Pave the way. Put your back into it. Tell us why. Show how. Look at where you came from. Look at you now. Madonna. I don't think Madonna is a real person anymore. She has been a succession of characters for so long there is nothing left. Chrissy Teigen. Not a secret. She tried to convince a teenage bride who was being abused to kill herself on Twitter repeatedly for like several years. Then fake apologized and cried about being cancelled for being a monster. I never knew that. Googled and found a couple stories about it. Oh my god, those tweets were just horrible. And she was messaging her too. Just awful. We had a chat about what if David Attenborough was actually evil, and as soon as the cameras were off he'd go and shave pandas, kick baby penguins across the ice and punch sea turtles right in their turtly faces for fun. It was very upsetting to think about. When my dad was a teacher in the early 90s, he worked at school with pretty rough work class background. One of his students wrote to David just asking for advice when it comes to getting into natural history as a career. She hears nothing for weeks until a letter arrives back. David wrote to her a beautifully handwritten 8-page reply full of advice and just discussing his experience in the field. Adam Levine. He was here in Chile and was a huge scandal in all the news cause he started insulting the audience and walk off the stage. My dad used to fly private jets and he said Mariah Carey was by far the most stuck up, demanding celebrity he ever flew. He said she came up to the cockpit during takeoff and bitched them out about how the limes in her drink weren't perfect 1/8. They aborted takeoff, turned around, and kicked her ass off. Edit the cherry on top is that they did cut the lime in 1/8 for her. She was mad that they weren't perfect multiply 1/8. Demi Lovato. Andrew Wakefield. He conducted a fake study with falsified data for lawyers who paid him to make a study proving that the MMR vaccine was causing autism, which is false. He also tried to use the scare caused by his study to sell his own vaccine and to sell fake tests for a disease he invented in his fake study. He performed dangerous operations on children without the informed consent of their parents. He's one of the biggest reason the modern anti-vax movement exists. Children died because of him. What's the over-under on how many times Tom Cruise gets mentioned? 30. Does anyone remember Ignition? Tom Cruise, who I wouldn't be surprised if it came to light that he was a serial killer and was involved in sex trafficking. Something about him just seems so fake and off. Well, he is a Scientologist, so do you know who else I just found out is a Scientologist? Elizabeth Moss from The Handmaid's Tale. Is that irony or what?